Hey everybody, so it's Marty the JavaScript party and my buddy Rhett, and what are we doing, Rhett? We're gonna do some coding? Yeah, yeah. So last week we were working on this Angular voice analyzer, and I'd set up this thing where the idea is that the problem is that if I go like this, hello, I get a hello, right? And then if I do it again, hello, uh, like did something happen? Who knows? You can't tell. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll create a way to delete everything. So boom. Now, hello. I don't know what happened there. Oh, hello. It's because the delete. I guess what happened was that the delete didn't. I'm gonna let it finish. So I guess what happened was I don't know what happened because okay. Hello. Hello. See, I'm watching this little thing up here, and it's weird that it's not that my delete didn't come back. Um, so I don't know. So I think that that is a bug. I do think it's worth sort of circling back around and um, going back here and saying, okay, so clear results. Result is equal to blank, and then this result is result signal. And then I think over here it's saying that if result is not equal to blank. So it's still blank even though even though so what I think should happen is it's because I guess the result signal itself didn't change so it never re it never republished. So that is interesting. Since it's the exact same value, um, the result signal only publishes if there's a change. So so that this never gets called again. Um, so one of the things that I thought, and now it looks like I'm wrong, was that when the user clears, well, so what does the voice signal send? So it sends an any. So let's see what actually gets sent. I'm guessing it's a string. This transcript. Hmm. 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 So that is very interesting. So I think like since it's only the transcript, that means it's unchanged. So it just resent the exact same thing. Um, so we really don't want to send a string like this. And this is just like a rookie mistake in signals. Like I don't understand signals that well. Um, so I think what I need to do is send an array instead. But I think what we need to do is we need to search through everything, the entire application, and see if there's any, like what all. Okay, so this is the one we're looking at. Let's see, we can tell a little easier in here. This is the discrete result. And then let's go back to here. And then this one is in the discrete. So it's basically the same thing. And then this one is the service itself. So let's see, const. Okay, so basically this is going to create a whole new place in memory for this thing. And so then I'm going to say result transcript. There's a million ways to do this. And I'm sure whoever you work for or whoever you work with will have a way that they like it. And it doesn't really matter. All right. So now I'm going to make that an array. And it's a new, basically, since I do this, it's going to be a brand new place in memory. So that means the signal, even if it is the same text inside there, it'll look like a new value to it. So now we might as well just, okay, so it's always going to be undefined now. So that's not going to be a good way to do it. So let's say length is greater than 0. So basically, I'm just saying, hey, because it's an array. There should be something in an array in that array. If it's not an array, um, I think we can make it a lot safer if we do this. If we put a question mark, and then basically TypeScript will convert that into a bunch of code that a bunch of cases. So it will only allow this question mark will tell it to check to see if this exists and this exists. You can go to you could Google TypeScript playground and copy and paste like code into something like this, and it'll show you the JavaScript that it gets transpiled into. But basically, question mark length is greater than 0. And 0. And here we go. Hello. Hello. Okay. So, I don't know. I hope that made sense. Basically, when you one thing about signals that I'm starting to become comfortable with, but it took me a little while, is that if you send the same thing to it every time, if you send the same primitive to it, it um, will what will it do? It will not publish it. It'll be like, oh yeah, no, I already got that one. So if you send it like the number 3 and then you send it a number 3 again, it's not going to see that. But if you create a new array, and the reason is because the memory of that number 3 stays the same. So there's a place in memory that has the number 3 in it. And you just give it the exact same spot in memory. But when you create a new array and send it the way I just did, then it gets a new, when you create a new array, it'll get a new place in memory, even though it has the same value inside. Um, it's weird. This is one of those weird things where, like, the first 1,000 times you hear it makes no sense whatsoever. Then one time it'll make total sense. And then every time you hear it after that, you're like, that's obvious. I don't understand why you're wasting my time with that. It's just one of those things, like when it finally clicks for you, you'll have it. But until it clicks for you, you won't have it. Once it's clicked for you, it'll be super obvious, and you won't be able to understand why it's not obvious to everybody else. Um, and it's just one of those sorts of, it's not just a computer programming thing. It's just in life in general. Just a lot of times when you're trying to explain something, the minute they have it, they don't understand why you're explaining it to anybody else because it's so obvious, and it's just you're wasting everyone's time explaining something that everybody already knows. It's just one of those funny things. Um, so, anyways, problem is it comes up a lot when you're a computer programmer. It doesn't come up quite, it doesn't come up as often in regular life, but it does come up in regular life too. So anyway, so now we have a signal. Basically, when they hit this clear, we do not want to clear the logs. We only want to clear this down here, and we would like it to clear this, but we don't. But we don't have anything, so we need a signal here too. Um, so let's go to our speech service and just sort of copy this signal. We actually, there's no reason for this to be an any anymore, right? We know it's a string, an array string. And this is another thing that happens a lot of times when you're coding, is as you're coding, things like this start to become obvious, and it is really in your best interest to okay, so we don't have to do anything down there, to take care of your styling of your types as they sort of reveal themselves. It's a lot easier to do it. It's usually a lot harder it takes a lot more time in the future to go back and figure out what it was, but in real time it's pretty easy. But usually you figure it out when you're in the desire to do something else, so you don't want to lose that flow, but that's one of those things where it's worth breaking your flow to go back and take care of something like this. So anyways, we have a service that's just for Discrete, that just lives in this tab. Um, its full scope is within these two components. Um, so let's go ahead and create a signal. Now the signal, like, we're back to the original problem, where it's like, if it would be kind of nice to code it to just be like a number, or like a primitive of some kind, a string or a boolean even. But the problem is that the signal will only publish if something is different. So I guess it could be a boolean in an array. So let's do that. I've never done that before. That's a new one. Let's try that. So that will make it possible for us to change the the it'll make us possible to change the pointer so that it'll republish even if it's the same value. But I mean, the value would always be true, so that's kind of weird. Actually, I think I want it to just be a number, and it'll be an increment of whatever it was last time. It'll just increment, so we'll know how many times it's been cleared. I don't think that information is of any value, but it's information, and maybe it will be. Okay, so I think we put that here. And we're just going to say clear. It's our clear count signal. And that is that's just a number. And it does not know what signal is, and signal comes from core, so that's the one we want. And so now we have our core, and then we'll just say clear. There's a function, and this function does not return anything. And all it does is, I think, let's see. Const, I think we want to make this a constant. Count is equal to clear count signal. plus 1. Array function plus 1. So when you want to actually get the value that's in there, that's what you want to do. And then we want to say this dot clear count signal, and then set. And I wish they'd have named that publish, but I'm sure there's a good reason they didn't. Count. So basically, every time that this function gets called, it's just going to increment the number of times it's been called. And this is 0. Okay, so now we want to make sure that this service is in each one. So, and I like this way better. Like I currently work in various Angulars at my job. I think they range from Angular 8 to Angular 11. And so in those, you always declared your services inside the constructor. But in this, we don't. So it is funny because like if you watch my 3JS videos, Rhett has been super, like all week she's just been getting progressively louder and more obnoxious. And but like when I was watching last week's video, she was pretty not nearly as rambunctious as she is being today. Today, this morning, I finally came to the conclusion I do like it because she is emulating exactly what it's like to work in an actual coding environment. There's always noises going on. There's always distractions. There's quite often someone talking on the phone where you can only hear half their conversation. Many times, especially as a computer programmer, they're not even, it's in some language that you don't know. So they're talking and you don't, and it's just, trying to focus is difficult. So I think Rhett is doing a pretty good job of emulating the chaos of working in an environment. My favorite environment I ever worked at was at CNN, and it was in the newsroom. Like I don't like sometimes when you watch like cable news, you'll see people in the back coding. It was very similar to that. I sometimes would walk by and you could see me walking by. I wasn't coding right where you could see me, but I was coding in that room where you could see stuff going on. And then a lot of times they would be doing interviews, like literally in the next cube over for me. And I'd be trying to code. And then sometimes it was kind of close to the snack bar, so they would even have like events for one of the teams or something. And they would be like creating frozen drinks and stuff, like literally in the cube next to mine. So, laughing and joking and making alcoholic drinks. And, that's just, it's tough, you have to code. But anyway, so this one is called Discrete Service. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Discrete Service Control. So, like, all the kind of noises that she's doing behind me are just par for the course of being a professional software developer. This one girl told me that she graduated from Georgia Tech, and she was telling me that her first job, like everybody was like smoking cigarettes, and they were all in this little room, and everybody was smoking cigarettes, and they were blasting like trap music the whole time, and they had lights like lights that like you're in a disco, and that was like how they coded. It's just one of those things, like there's just going to be all kinds of different environments, and you kind of like if you want to have a long career, and you want to sort of move around, not like just working like one place, but like move around. You're just going to be around all kinds of crazy different things. All right, so this is my discrete component. So this is where we clear the results. So in our service called this.discrete service, we want to call the clear function. And so basically that should work. This is a good time to um, inspect and just make sure you don't have any weird console errors. Um, yeah, everything's good. Um, and now we want to go into our, not our record button. Everything's good. Um, we want to go into our discrete result component, and we want basically to bring in the exact same discrete service, but we want to listen to that result. And it's not going to be here. It's going to be, I think it's going to be two dots in services. I think it's one more up from there. Uh, so let's just see what happens. Now, got the blue. Yep. So it's two dots. It's always good to sort of think through that kind of thing. The it's just I don't know what it is, but sometimes just kind of understanding, like you can work and not understand all that stuff, but understanding where things are in the structure, the tree structure where you work, can really just make the job a lot more effective or pleasant. All right, so now here's the thing. Um, this really surprised me, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe when you listen to a signal like this, all of this code runs no matter which signal gets called. So so when we so when we so I don't know exactly what's going to happen because I think this is still going to call and it's going to check to see if the length, and it might even still set to results. So it may not work. I'm trying to think through whether it will work once we clear it, because I yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Um, like I said, I am very new to signals. I've been doing signals on these projects since it first came out, but like I do almost all the vast majority of my coding I do at work for my job, and we don't have signals. So this is just sort of like, something I kind of do. I mean, as a hobby is probably sort of, this is what I do to kind of stay up to date. Clear signal count. So basically, we want to know if this signal count is greater than 0. And see, that's the problem, is I think that once I've cleared it, it may stay cleared. Um, so, and I think yeah, okay. You could spend all day trying to figure out, you can spend all day trying to figure out, trying to imagine what's going to happen. But let's just see what happens. But I have a feeling this is not going to work exactly the way I want it to work. And I might need some time to kind of think through these things because these are kind of new. But hello. Hello. Yeah, see, I think it got cleared. Um, it got cleared, but the result, I mean, I think this still got called again. And it was, so let's just check that out, because this is the whole freaking point to doing this stuff, is to learn to learn the ins and outs of this kind of stuff. Clear count, comma. I'm actually really glad I did it this way. I think it's going to be a little bit easier to understand what's happening. And I'm trying to learn this stuff in real time. Like that's exactly the only point to doing this stuff. Um, hello. Okay, so we have no clear counts. Clear count 1. Hello. Yeah, see, the clear count. So that code ran again. So, oh, you know what I can do? I don't know if this is a good idea. This is probably going to end up being an anti-pattern, but maybe not. But I could say clear count equals 0. So now we can say if so we'll set it here. We'll say this dot clear count is equal to whatever gets set through. And then we can say if this is not equal to clear count signal, this dot clear count. So basically we're just checking to see if that is not equal to. So if it's not, then set it. Now if I get it again, it's the same number, don't do anything. So we only want to do this if it changes. Man, I almost feel like a psychic, because I honestly did not have this in. I was not thinking of this move when I decided to send a number through, and now it's seeming like sending a number through was a good idea. It could just be something like I've learned, but I wasn't conscious that I learned it. I kind of learned it on an unconscious basis. Like I would say probably 90% of everything that I learn at an unconscious level. I don't realize I've learned it. And there's a possibility that I just knew unconsciously that I was going to have to know. I was going to have to keep track of how many times it had been called. But let's give this a shot. Hello. Hello. Oh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Now that's kind of for naught because I'm going to probably start storing this. Well, first of all, this string thing isn't going to be, it's going to have to be I want to also have the confidence in there, and then I also want it to just keep adding until I clear it. So it's going to become an array. It's going to be a thing. That probably will. I don't know. I don't know how many videos that's going to take. Maybe tomorrow I can get that all done. And then if I get that done, then I think. So basically, my vision is that it'll this will be in a table and it'll have value and confidence, and the oldest one will be at the bottom, and you'll be able to hit this and clear it, and then I think at that point we're done with discrete for the moment. The discrete tab gives us all the information we want. If we want any more information, we can always go look in the logs and see specifically what's going on. If we want to just dive deep into what in the world is happening, I probably should also have the count. So it'll basically, this will tell you, oh, that's kind of a bummer. I don't know if, well, yeah, I don't know if I like that. Okay, I don't know if you caught that, but like, let's say we go like this. Hello. And then we go here, and then we come back. Oh. Here, clear. Come back. Oh, maybe I had cleared it before I left last time. I thought that it was getting wiped out and all that. Well, but I haven't cleared it. Okay, so let's clear it. Hello. Now let's come back. Ah. So, unfortunately, okay, so when you leave, the discrete gets wiped out, and then let's see what our console inspect. See the clear count when you come back, the clear count gets set. Okay, so let's see. So this all of this is destroyed, right? When you leave, it was all destroyed. And now when you come back, see that clear count got set. But um so like okay, so here's that's a good question too. So this is signals. So here at the beginning we didn't get anything. Clear count. Okay, so the clear count has never happened at this point, which is kind of weird to me. I thought that these things got called when they were created. So our okay, so let's say so our clear count is this. Clear count is 0. Oh, it's because it's this only happens. Okay. So I think basically what happened is it got called, but it's setting it to 0. What if I make this undefined? What if I just do this? I guess that's the same thing. Clear count. Let's say colon undefined or a number. So we're going to say this thing can be undefined or a number. And then inspect console. Okay, so then it gets set to 0. And so the signal, okay, so now let's see what happens. Hello. Hello. Okay, so now we've got a clear count of 1. So now when we come back, yeah, see, and it wipes out everything. And we really don't want that. We really want to come back and have everything the way it was. Um, so guess we want to know if it's been initialized or not. Because let's see. Let's so and this is again learning about signals and the way signals work. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure. Console.log result. Yeah, see, this is going to be a problem because where it gets destroyed every time, when we come back, it needs to have its value. Um, let's see. Okay. Hello. I see. So our result is still hello, but our clear count is 1. Hello. Okay. So now our result is hello, which is good. And now if we come over here, I think what'll happen when we go back is we'll have a oh, okay. So and this didn't happen because it was the same. It hadn't changed. So now we go here, and now if we come back, see, and hello and clear count is 1. So what we'd really want is to know if it's been initialized or not. And we do because if it hasn't been initialized, it's undefined. So, so we have another case, and that's that we came here and we got here and it was different, but it was undefined at first. All right, so the very first time you come through here, hello, but you see how it was 0 and undefined, and now we clear it. Now it's 1 and 0, so we know that it was set. Now if we come here, oh, we'll just do this. Hello. All right. So now the clear count is 1. We have a result of hello. We come over here. We come back. And it was 1 and undefined. But we did have our hello. So what we want to do is we only want to actually clear it if this isn't undefined. If it's undefined, then that means we're the first time it. This is the first time it. Which I don't really like that kind of coding in general. I like to say like, and if I'm gonna code something like that, right? Like we're only want to do this if it wasn't undefined. So I think we want the order of operations definitely matters here. We only want to clear the result. Right? We only want to do this. Okay, there's only 2 conditions we want to do this in, right? First is if clear count signal is greater than 0. And I don't really think that really needs any further explanation. I think saying, hey, if the clear count is greater than 0, then is it 2, 1, 1? I think it's 2. So it's kind of funny how I've been literally doing that for 20 years now. Or if, no, it's not an or, it's and. Clear count is not equal to undefined. Now, if you've been doing this for a while, you do know that like 0 and undefined are both falsy, so we could just use that. But the reason I would do it this way, and like I know there's some places I've worked where I would in the PR they would have me change it, but I would still go in and I would just take the hit in the PR and just change it afterwards. But I want to be able to specify the component hasn't been initialized. And one mystery that to me is that like I'm finishing up my 3JS project that I'm working on, and I'm going to start a new one on the first of the year. But in that, I also use tabs, and as I move from tab to tab, the components aren't destroyed. So I don't know if that's something that I don't know what that's about. But for some reason, that behavior is different in the 2 applications. I don't know if that was something I configured early on. I don't think so, or if maybe it's a difference in the versions that like so a lot of times what happens is something is coded to work a certain way, like let's say in Angular 10, and then when you do an upgrade to Angular 11 they sort of change the way it works, but they do some coding so that so the older implementations still work the way they used to work, but the new implementations don't. They work the way the new stuff works, and that's just sort of so sometimes your stuff won't work quite the way new code works, which is challenging. So, but basically, the only reason I didn't make this like if this, I could have just said if this discrete component, and so if it was equal to 0, it would be falsy. And if it was undefined, it would be falsy. But I only did this because I want to be able to put this comment there. Um, so let's see if that solves our problem. Hello. Hello. Yep. That solved the problem. So it only will clear it if it's the first time. So everything kind of gets reset because the signals all fire. This is going to end up being a problem for me because um, I want to remember what it was, and I don't know if the big question mark is, does this service get? I don't think this service gets destroyed. Um, I think it implements. I think it's this on destroy, and then I can click this, and then I can click this on destroy, and then console log. Yeah, so because I don't know if these get destroyed when all references of all the components that use it get destroyed or not, and that does matter um, because I probably will want to keep that list in there if at all possible. If not, I'll have to keep the list in at a higher level. Hello. Actually, didn't even need to do that. Okay, yeah, so it is not destroyed. Right, so like we could do the same thing in this discrete component, for example. And understanding when services and components get destroyed and when they get created and stuff like that is extraordinarily important. Actually, I think that was the right spot. I do want it after the constructor. Okay, so basically what we want to say is, I think when you go over here, yeah, see component destroyed. Now it exists again. Now it's destroyed again. But our service was not destroyed, so that's good. So this has been a 43-minute video. I don't think that's terribly bad. I do think that it was super important to try to get a better grip on the way the signals work and how the the signals refire when the component is recreated. And so it is kind of important that you have like like that like I do think that that is probably going to be maybe one of the things with um, signals is knowing like, is this the first time this thing fired? Like, have I already processed this information, or have I not processed this information? And is this a new thing? I could definitely imagine a lot of applications sort of being a lot like if you're doing a lot of heavy processing and stuff, like reprocessing a bunch of stuff just because the signal fired um, because the way, like the thing I would not expect, the thing that surprises me though on how it works is how, like I thought, and now I understand how ridiculous this thought was, but I thought that like this code here would only run if the clear count, if something changed in clear count. I didn't realize that this code would run when something in clear count signal changed. Which, like at the time when they were talking about signals, and when I was first learning about signals, I was just dumbfounded on how it could possibly work. Like, was it doing some sort of like static analysis and building code? This set of code runs only when like, and I was like, oh no, it just runs blindly runs everything, um, no matter what signal fired. Which like I don't that's not a criticism, and I don't know why like a lot of times when you say that just blindly runs, that's considered critical. Like the whole JavaScript async blindly runs, like um, all kinds of stuff just blindly runs. There's nothing wrong with that, inherently wrong with things just blindly running. Um, but I didn't, once I realized everything, if anything is affected inside this effect, then the whole effect runs. That really did change a lot of stuff for me. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to do some more on this tomorrow. Basically, I want to start building out that table. And then as soon as that table is over, I want to, guess, I don't know. I don't know if I want to build out the API thing. Probably best to build out the API thing because that's going to be like the least fun part, but probably the most important, useful thing in the future. And then as soon as the API, and basically all it's going to do is just sort of give a list of everything it expects to find in the API, and then put like a green checkbox check next to it if it expected it and found it, and then maybe a red checkbox if it expected it, didn't find it, and then like a question mark if it found something that it wasn't expecting. So in the future, I'll be able to just go and see, okay, what on the top of the API has changed. It's probably not going to be anything at the top of the API, but if that's that, and then I feel like I know enough and understand enough to actually build a pretty cool discrete application. Like the one I think about all the time is like maybe one that says where you just say hello and then you choose the language that you want to try to say the word hello in, and then or the whatever the greeting of that language is, and then it gives you like a score on whether it thinks you said it or not. I think that would be really cool. And then and then things along those lines. Maybe something where you type in the word that you want to try to say, and then click the button, and it tells you whether it thinks you said that word or not. Um, that would probably be really cool and useful to a lot of people. And then and all that. And I think I clearly, fully understand this API well enough to build something like that, which I can tell you straight up that before I started this project, did not know how to do that. I would never have been able to get it done. It would, if it did get done, it would have been very clunky and worked in a pretty bad way. But now I'm confident that I can get that done working. Um, Now continuous is different because continuous, the the microphone stays on. So if it's discrete, the microphone comes on, it listens for something, and then it shuts itself off, and then it tells you what it thinks you said. Continuous listens constantly, and it's just constantly returning results, and then you can interact it with it. So what I was thinking would probably be maybe useful would be like a calculator or something like that, where you type in calculations. It might be fun to have like maybe there's you can connect up with an API, and as you say stuff like an API that like for GIF like funny memes or something, and then like as you say things, it starts to print out memes that have those keywords. That might be hilarious. Um, but anyways, yeah, I think this is coming along. I'm pretty happy with it. I definitely feel like I understand um, this API a lot better and Signals a lot better. Um, I've never ever, Signals have been out for over a year now, pretty sure, and I have never come across them in my professional life. I don't know anyone who has. So what I found happens is that uh, when it comes, it will come, and when it comes, it's going to come hard. It's going to be like um, everyone's going to expect you to already understand it and all that, and then they're going to be, uh, the opportunities are going to present, and if if you know how to do it, you'll get opportunities, and if you don't know how to do it, you're going to have to depend on your good looks or something like that to charm yourself into an opportunity. And then, if you if it truly is the pirate's code. If you fall behind, you get left behind. So anything you can do to try to stay up technically, um, with all the latest stuff is it generally pays off, and all the latest generally, like, the changes are just insanely dramatic every 3 years. Like, everything is very, very different. So, like, let's say you get a job and you're coding on the very, very cutting edge latest thing, and you just work on that, and that's all you work on at work for 8 hours a day, you know, 50 weeks a year, and then and then you need to get a new job after 6 years. Like, and you're a front end developer, you will be so far out of sync with the rest of wherever the industry is that it's going to be almost impossible to find a new job, unless you're just extraordinarily, you have some sort of background, or you're extraordinarily, you know, like, you just are very, very, you have some really good advantage from a social perspective or something like that. It's just going to be tough. But anyways, everybody, so that's why you should keep coding and be happy while you're coding, because it's a pretty cool job to get to do, but not everyone gets to do it, and it's fun. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.